Okay, so part A, we have f of x equal to 1 plus sine x over 2. Okay, so the amplitude, let's get the amplitude of these functions. The amplitude is the coefficient of the trig ratio here. So the coefficient of sine here is 1. So the absolute value of 1, which is equal to 1, meaning that this function here, initially it was supposed to be within 1 and the middle value on the y-axis, it was supposed to be 0 and minus 1. Okay, so it was supposed to be between 1 and minus 1. Now, because it has been shifted vertically at 1, so this positive 1 will move one step upward every point, move up one step upward. So this is equal to 2, and this will be 1, meaning that the x-axis moves at 1 and this goes at 0. Okay, so it will be within 2, it will be between 2 and 0 on the y-axis. Okay, then we can compute the period. Okay, so the vertical shift it's y equal to 1, okay, on the y-axis. Then we can get the period. So period is given by 2 pi over b, and in this case the b is the coefficient of x, and the coefficient of x here is half, so this becomes 2 pi divided by 1 over 2, which is just simply equal to 4 pi. Okay, so now this function starts from 0 and ends at 4 pi. So the interval of it will be on the interval, the first wave, it will be on an interval 0 to 4 pi. Okay, so it will start from 0 to 4 pi. Okay, so now because this is a sine function, so we need to know what is the half of this interval 0 to 4 pi. So 0 to 4 pi, the half it will be at 2 pi. So it will start from 0 okay, so we have our y-axis here, our x-axis. So the graph is within 0 and we have 1 here up to 2. Okay, so 4 pi somewhere here, and it's a sine function. The half of this interval is 2 pi. Okay, 2 pi. So this is the x-axis. It has been shifted at 1, meaning that this point here is now here. 2 pi is somewhere here now. 4 pi is at this point here. So the graph is within 0 and 2 on the y-axis. So it starts from this point and it will move toward the positive axis because the coefficient of the sine function is positive here. So it will move toward the positive values of y, okay, or on the increasing values of y. So it will be it will start from this point, cuts here up to here. So that will be the graph of this function. Okay, so yeah, let's try another one. Okay, so we have f of x equal to 2 cos open bracket x minus 1 over 2 pi. Okay, so let's find the amplitude. So the amplitude is the coefficient of the trig function, which is 2 here, positive 2, which is equal to 2, meaning that the graph will be within positive 2 and negative 2, and the x-axis is at 0, and there is no vertical shift. That means this interval maintain. Okay, then for the phase shift, So it has the phase shift. So how do we get the phase shift? We get the angle of this function, which is x minus 1 over 2 equated to 0. So for x, so our phase shift will be x is equal to 1 over 2. Then the period is equal to 2 pi divided by b, and the b here is always the coefficient of x. So when you distribute the pi here, you multiply pi multiplied by x, that will be x pi minus pi over 2, meaning that the coefficient here of x is pi, so our b is pi, so we have 2 pi divided by pi, which is equal to 2. Okay, so you can see that this function, it was supposed to be on an interval. It was supposed to be on an interval 0 up to 2. But now there is a phase shift, which is 1 over 2. So this point here, so we can add plus 1 over 2. We can even add this one plus 1 over 2. Okay, so it was supposed to start from 0 up to 2, because 2, that's a period, and 0, that's where it was supposed to start from. Now this point here moves forward by 1 over 2 to the right. Okay, so this becomes an interval becomes 1 over 2, and 2 plus 1 over 2 we are getting, so 2 plus 1 over 2 we are getting 5 over 2. So this function is on an interval 1 over 2 to 5 over 2. Okay, so we can plot the graph. So we have our y-axis, x-axis here. The function starts from 1 over 2 up to 5 over 2, and the half of this. So to find the half of this interval, we can just simply add 5 over 2 plus 1 over 2, and we are getting 6 over 2 multiplied by half. That will be, so we have 1 over 2 plus 5 over 2, which is equal to 6 over 2. And 6 over 2 is just 3 multiplied by half, that will be 3 over 2. So we have 3 over 2 here. Then we can get the half of 3 over 2, because it is cos, so we want to identify the first quarter of this interval and the last quarter of this interval. So we can just simply add 3 over 2 plus 1 over 2. So 3 over 2 plus 1 over 2, we are getting 4 over 2, which is just 2. 4 over 2, which is just 2, multiplied by 1 over 2. So this will be 1 here. Okay. Then here, 5 over 2 plus 3 over 2, we are getting 8 over 2, which is just 4. 4 multiplied by 1 over 2, that will be 2. So we have 2 here. Okay, so this is the first quarter, and this is the last quarter. And because it's a cosine function, it passes through the first quarter of the interval and the last quarter of this interval. So, and on the y-axis, the lowest it can go is minus 2, and the highest it can go should be positive 2 here. So it starts from this point here. So it starts from this point somewhere here, passes through this point, so it will pass, so it will be within this interval. So let me just indicate. It's not supposed to cross this point. This boundary is on the x-axis, on the y-axis. So it will start from this point here, passes through the first quarter, and so it will start from this point, passes through the first quarter and the last quarter, then its end here. So this will be the graph of this function here. Okay, let's try another one.